Yeah, welcome to the Lock and Load Show, people. This is Hawaii Volcano Squad, hosting another Gun Channel show on the interwebs, and going to talk about all kinds of wheel gun, shotgun, Second Amendment news, some Hawaii stuff that's happening around here, and got some trivia questions and all kinds of fun stuff. The Hawaii Volcanoes Park has reopened. Part of some good news in a limited way, limited rollout here. You got a this is at the park. This is a quarter horse on the left named Ohia, and Clyde the mule on the right. It's at the Hawaii Volcano National Park. Let's see, Crater Rim Trail, Thurston Lava Tube still closed. Devastation Trail is open. Here's a picture. The Hale Mau Mau caldera at the top of Kilauea Volcano is like increased, it quadrupled in size. Basically, it's fallen into itself. The magma ball at the bottom of the volcano has receded, and the walls collapsed, and it's grown a lot bigger. Let's see, here's another picture of it. It's just a lot bigger than it used to be. And the whole Jaeger Volcano Museum appears to be slowly slipping into the caldera too, so I don't know if they're going to be able to save that. But the Volcano House appears to be open. Here's a nice picture. Is that the Kilauea Iki? Well, it's the little one. 20-second pictures, some park rangers. So yeah, that's some good news. A lot of people got into the park. I haven't made it up there yet. It's only been open for a day or two, but I do look forward to. They haven't been to going back. I haven't been up there in quite some time. It'd be fun to go check it out. I wanted to. That's the other stuff. And I was talking in the pre-chat about this. Right next to my condo at the Kona Seaside Hotel. These three were making a lot of noise in their SUV in the parking lot, and the hotel security guy went over, or maintenance or whatever, went over to talk to them and get them to turn down their volume. And they put on his on a hotel golf cart little deal, and they got out of their car, pulled him out off the golf cart, beat the crap out of him, and they stomped him even while he was unconscious. And they had to, when the first responders got there, they had to medevac him to Oahu, Honolulu, Queens Hospital, and he's on a ventilator so he can breathe because they broke his spine. And they're in jail, and I don't think the kind bail bond's going to bail these guys out. So they're probably just going to rot in jail for quite some time. And then this place is. I was just going to say before you guys talk that this was about 500 yards away from where I live, this hotel.
Good thing you're not allowed to carry guns. That way you're much safer.
Yeah, that'll bring us to something else. We'll get to the young case in a minute. Let's see. What else have I got here on this show? So many windows open, it's hard to do everything. Right. Wanted to show the earthquake animation real quick. This is the earthquake, an animation, like from the government. All these white spots are different earthquakes, and it's a time compression, so you can see how fast it is. The clock's on the right, and there's a big flash of earthquakes, and like hundreds. And basically, it shows you the bigger the circle is, the bigger the earthquake was, and it'll just run. It's only 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, I think now, and it'll just run through how many earthquakes there were. And I don't know, this is about a couple miles from where I made an off-road house. Jesus, there's a lot of earthquakes. I mean, it's just rifling through how many earthquakes there were up on the caldera. So this is a topographic relief map of, geez, there's a big 5.0. You see there's the circle here, it says 5, that's a 5 or higher earthquake. But really these weren't as much, that's what they read on the seismograph, but it's not a traditional earthquake. This is the walls collapsing down into the magma pool and exploding and causing an earthquake tremor. But I remember this is what happened when I was on Ron Swanson's show, and they were saying, no, don't worry about it, it's nothing. And then my condo started shaking in the middle of a live stream on that UK bushcrafter chat. and so like, well, wait a minute. But obviously had a greater impact on the other side of the island. But Jesus Christ, look at all these 848. There's like 20 earthquakes in a minute. Someone just roll through this real quick. Look how many earthquakes. You hit pause. It's like at noon, there's like 20 earthquakes. I'm trying to hit pause a couple of times to see if I can catch it with a bunch of. So the big white dots are level magnitude 5. So they have reopened the park, but this was the problem. And if you have a house up there, I think the people that were selling the house that I had made an offer on, they sold it to someone. They had an opened escrow to somebody else, but it fell out of escrow when this whole thing happened with the earthquakes. And then it was on the market for a while longer, but I don't think anything is sold up there. So they just took it off the market. They gave up. I bet they wish they took my offer.
Lowball them. Lowball them.
Well, I don't think a bank will write a loan up there right now. I mean, look at all these dots. If you were a banker, would you write a loan? I mean, whatever. Which will bring us down to
you got to go offer them cash, 50%.
Well, it brings us to Deutsche Bank, like the world's most insolvent and Europe's biggest bank is insolvent, and they're going to merge with Commerzbank, which is also insolvent. And so instead of having two gigantic disaster problems, now they have one humongous problem. All right. So anyway, get done with that. So that's what the earthquakes were like. You can see from this graph up here, total. What's the total here? How many earthquakes were there? Like 37,375 earthquakes from April 1st to August, I don't know, that 30th. Well, you can see where it tails off. Tails off toward the end of July. Anywho, all right. So before we get too much into shotguns and wheel guns, I wanted to bring up the state of Hawaii. And you had mentioned not being able to carry a firearm in the state of Hawaii because the police chiefs who are appointed by the politicians have never, ever issued a permit, a concealed carry permit to anyone. And in the entire history of the state, there have been 4 open carry permits issued, not counting security guards or armored bank people. So the whole point was that here in this document, the state of Hawaii is requesting an en banc panel review, which is what happened in the Peruta case when there was an 8-judge panel that overturned the ruling of the 3-judge panel that for the case in San Diego, the Peruta case, and some other similar cases that were condensed into one gigantic case. And the 3-judge panel in the Peruta case ruled that the police chief in San Diego had to issue a concealed carry permit, and just not having good cause wasn't a reason, a valid reason that the citizens shouldn't have to present good cause that the police chief approved of. He had to issue a carry permit because open carry wasn't legal. And here it's like the reverse. There was a Hawaii case that was related that was associated with the Peruta case. That in the Peruta case, they had this 11-judge panel that stepped in and overturned the 3-judge panel, and they had a case. They had a hearing. Both lawyers argued, and they basically went with some 700 BC. They had to go back to 700 BC to find a precedent to give them an excuse to not issue carry permits in California, concealed carry permits. So what they're saying basically in the Young case, the 3-judge panel ruled another pro-Second Amendment ruling that the state of Hawaii not having to issue concealed carry permits and never having issued a concealed carry permit, and this is the county of Hawaii, but that in the Young case, but they ruled that the Peruta case was specific to concealed carry and that they had to allow open carry and not just for security guards. So Hawaii wants that the decision overruled. And it's the same judge that was on the 3-judge panel in the Peruta case that made the pro-Second Amendment ruling in that case that was overturned. So the difference being, if we can get Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, we might have a 5-4 pro-gun majority, and they might actually hear a Second Amendment case for the first time since Helen McDonald, and overturn. But that's the reason the panel might not actually hear this case, because if they actually overturn this, then the Young could appeal it to the SCOTUS if we get Kavanaugh on there.
So you think if Kavanaugh gets on there, then they might avoid and come up with some BS decision so it doesn't make it up there?
Well, they don't have to do anything for it not to make it up there. Basically, just because the Ninth Circuit 3-judge panel issued a ruling that the county of Hawaii has to issue open carry permits doesn't mean that the police chief is actually going to do it. He's not going to, unless the Supreme Court orders him, but basically the Supreme Court would have to make just de facto open carry legal and invalidate all the Hawaii carry statutes. Because anyway, I'll just go through this case really quick and rip it apart really quickly. Let's see. Here's the people. I guess this is a new Attorney General of Hawaii, Russell Suzuki. He replaced the other guy, who was also a left-wing piece of work. He was practicing politics, not law. I'll get onto the writing part of this, and I'll post this link in the video description after this thing renders. So here's the statement. In this case, sharply divided panel struck down a nearly century-old Hawaii statute regulating the open carry of firearms based on the cramped interpretation of the statute that the state itself had rejected. That by itself is enough to warrant en banc rehearing. Yeah, but it is only one of at least 3 such egregious errors in the panel's opinion that calls for a rehearing en banc. So this is the state of Hawaii making this filing. First, the panel invalidated Hawaii's law on the ground that it limits open carry licenses to security guards and other individuals whose jobs entail protecting life and property. Like the guy who just got the crap beat out of him, like at the Kona Seaside Hotel. Let's see, but that is just wrong. This says, by its plain terms, HRS 134-9 makes open carry licenses available to any other qualified individual who sufficiently indicates an urgency or need to carry a firearm. We don't have a bill of needs. We have a bill of rights, but whatever. These fucking moron lawyers. And who is engaged in the protection of life and property. Moreover, if there's any doubt on the question, Hawaii AG has removed it by issuing a formal legal opinion that clarifies that the law extends to private individuals as well as security officers. They've never issued them. permit to anybody unless it was like the police chief's daughter or something, or wife. And that advises police chiefs that victims of domestic violence, individuals who face a credible threat of armed robbery or violent crime, and other private persons might be eligible for open carry licenses. Blah, blah, blah. They've never issued one. Let's see. Rehearing en banc is necessary to ensure Hawaii's law is evaluated based on an accurate understanding of its meaning. Second, rehearing en banc is warranted because the panel expressly split from the decisions 3 other circuits, second, third, and fourth. So that would be a reason that it would, if there was a split, that's a reason for one reason for if they were to overturn it that or leave it, that it could be appealed to the Supreme Court. Yeah, if I don't think the Bloomberg people would appeal this ruling to the Supreme Court. They're just going to file this en banc and hope that the Ninth deals with it. Because it really depends on if Kavanaugh gets appointed or not, as to what this will mean. Let's see. The panel openly defies this court's recent en banc decision, the Peruta versus County of San Diego. Peruta overturned a remarkably similar panel decision written by the same judge, that's right, O'Scanlan, who wrote the majority opinion here that struck down the California public carry statute based on similarly sweeping conception of the Second Amendment. Let's see, what? Oh, we got somebody else in the chat? Cool. Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, Edge is here.
Amazing. How's things in Texas, brother?
Wet.
Really?
Other than that, no, it's usual.
All right.
Trying to cool off. They're predicting a very cold winter in Texas.
Okay. I'm going to finish this part on this Second Amendment case real quick. Background. Hawaii has regulated the public carry of firearms for over 150 years. In 1852, Hawaii Legislative Council enacted a statute making it a criminal offense for any person not authorized by law to carry or be found armed with any pistol or other deadly weapon unless good cause could be shown for having such dangerous weapons. So they've been ignoring the Constitution for 150 years, and they want to keep on doing. Act May 25th, 1852 is the law they're talking about. That was back when they had Colt Walkers, right? Or was that after 1852?
Patterson's.
Patterson's?
Walker was 47, so they could have had a Walker.
All right. All right, and I hope we get to hear about Squibb's test black powder chronometer testing of the rounds at Dusty's farm too last few days. Territorial in 1927, the territorial legislature enacted a statute providing that individuals could not carry a pistol or revolver in public unless they obtained a license upon showing good reason for fear and injury to a person or property, or other proper reason for carrying a firearm. The state revised its firearm statute to substantially its present form in 1934 and 61. Today, the law provides that subject to a number of listed exceptions, an individual may not carry a pistol or revolver in public without a license. I got to tell you, I know a lot of people who carry a pistol and revolver in public without a license, but it's not, they're concealed carrying, so nobody knows. Let's see. Section 134-9 provides chiefs of police may issue a license to carry in an exceptional case. I mean, this is just all this stuff that, let's see, in 2012, George Young sued the state of Hawaii, the county of Hawaii, and several state and county officials contending that the statutory requirement to obtain a carry license violates the Bill of Attainder Clause, the Contracts Clause, the Second Amendment, the Ninth Amendment, and Privileges and Immunities Clause. The district court dismissed the suit. It explained that because Section 134-9 only applies to carrying a weapon in public, it does not restrict the core protection provided by the Second Amendment. Okay, so if you never leave your house, you don't need a carry permit. I don't know anybody who can manage to never leave their house. I mean, eventually you have to leave. Just hold up in there for your entire life. Furthermore, it explains that 134.9 does not operate as an outright ban on firearms, but instead, I mean, I got to tell you, this state sucks as far as their firearm laws. And they want to have some new constitutional amendment so they can raise property taxes. They want to do the same thing they did in Illinois, where they want to raise property taxes so they can pay teachers' unions more retirement money. And what they did in Illinois is they offered every teacher $1 million retirement if they would keep teaching, except that the legislature never funded it. But they passed a constitutional amendment saying that the state has to pay the retirement pensions before they do anything else. The only problem that being that even though a judge has ordered the state to pay their teachers' retirement pensions, there just ain't no money to do it. So.
Okay, but wait a minute. Why is it that you only have a right to protect yourself in your home versus outside of your home? That's bull crap.
I know it's bullshit.
They'll cry public safety. That's what they'll say.
Screw that crap. You're telling me the cops, the government, the Army, the military, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, the Coast Guard is going to save your butt? No. That's bullshit. And why is it that they had to do research all the way back to 700 BC before Christ? Is that what I heard?
Yes. That was the Brady campaign foundation. Every town. That was the Brady campaign's amicus brief, where they went back to Salam's law, 700 BC, before the Battle of Thermopylae, where Solon was in theory one of the founding fathers of democracy, Greek democracy, but. That and he basically what he did was he banned it was illegal in the city-state of Athens inside the city to wear armor.
To wear armor. That means steel, chainmail, anything like that, but not to have a sword.
Yeah, it was bronze.
That's not armor.
Well, it was in 700 BC.
You get what I'm saying, though, right? I mean, that's armor. Armor is something that is a defensive item, not an offensive / defense.
So is a firearm. Proper, but by law-abiding citizens.
Okay, but a gun is not going to stop a bullet if I get hit with it. Sometimes.
A gun will stop the shooter. If there's an active shooter, a gun will stop the threat.
My Jedi mind powers and stop the bullets.
Okay, but a gun
I haven't seen Solo yet, so I'm waiting on that one.
A gun is not armor. You know, a gun is an offensive, defensive weapon that is usually used for offense most of the time. But I mean, that is an arm, not armor. And I would argue that as a lawyer, you got a difference here. One is designed to protect solely, which is armor, versus arms. Arms is used as offensive and defensive. I mean, that crap is total bullshit. I'm sorry, but
I'm not saying that the public safety argument is legit. It's not. It's BS. But in the hands of a law-abiding citizen, in the hands of law enforcement, and in the military, a firearm is used primarily as a defensive tool. The same thing with the armed citizen protecting themselves in their house, out in public, camping, hiking, hunting, wherever. It's a defensive tool. So if they're trying to use, an analogy there. The armor was defense against a sword or a dagger or club or something like that. So I think going back that far, you're right. That is just total BS, and it's just they're drawing a really thin line to compare the two. But as far as our ability to defend ourselves, if they're trying to say, well, they didn't want the Greek citizens to be able to defend themselves by having armor, I'm sorry, it's too shallow, it's too weak. But
It's a red herring.
The firearm is not primarily an offensive tool. Yes, bad guys use them for offense, and sometimes in combat they are used offensively. But in the hands of the law-abiding citizen, us, the person that is being put up here on trial, I guess you could say, more or less, right? It's our ability to use it defensively. I think that none of their arguments are legit. However, those are the arguments that they're going to put up there. And your average person who knows nothing about guns, doesn't know the first damn thing about guns, instantly thinks, if we just keep them away, then nothing will happen. And they're ignorant, and there's
I'm glad
not
you
much
said
we can
that,
do.
because I need to get this quote from the New Mexico gubernatorial candidate. That'll just crack you guys up. I need to get this. It's written down. I'll be right back. It's in the other room.
Well, I want to mention that.
What we need to do is, as a community, do our best to try to inform those. I'm not really on board with the whole we need to convert people. If they want to come over to, enjoy firearms or respect firearms, that sort of thing, like we do, that's fine. But I think it's important to educate them so that they can hear from somebody that maybe they trust the truth about it, and not all this stuff these politicians are spouting, or the movies are spouting, or the media is spouting. And I think if they were if they had some information, they might not be as scared, and they might not be so quick to jump on the whole, if we just ban them, it'll make everything safer train. You know what I mean?
I can tell you,
Right.
Similar to like where you guys are and where I'm at in Texas. I live in a middle class neighborhood, nice neighborhood, nothing fancy, nothing great, but I can tell you that when I travel the neighborhoods, I do my own business where I work on people's computers and servers and whatnot. I travel all kinds of parts of town, and I always carry a gun on me. And so customers have seen it, they're like, "Oh, so you got problems?" I go, "No, but I'm prepared for them, and I don't want to ever not be prepared or be felt that I'm going to be, a victim wherever I travel to." And Hawaii is beautiful. I've never been there, but I've seen pictures of it, videos and whatnot. It's very beautiful. But just like a lot of places are beautiful, like Brazil and other areas, they have some really, dark parts of it that don't appreciate tourists, or if they do, they prey on them and so on. So outside of EMS coming to, revive me for whatever reason, I don't depend on the PD or any law enforcement agency to.
Hawaii is a very beautiful place, but the people aren't angels. That's how it is.
I understand once you leave a lot of the tourist areas, they're not too receptive to mainlanders.
Some people aren't. Yeah, tourists are generally frowned upon in some areas, but everybody's different. Every person is different. Anyway, I wanted to read this because you're a bunch of gun guys, so maybe you could tell me about this item that the New Mexico candidate for governor wants to ban. She says, her name is Michelle Lujan Grisham. And she says she wants to ban, quote, assault weapons, and she also wants to ban high magazine cartridges. You were in the Marine School. Can you tell me what a high magazine cartridge is?
This is another person who just doesn't understand, and they're the ones trying to take away our rights. It's the same thing with the people who go out and vote for these morons. Look, there are tons of people out there who have never been around guns. They weren't raised with them. They have no interest in them. It doesn't.
And that's okay. That's okay.
But the thing is, though, okay, for example, today at work, there was a guy I was talking with that was letting me know that one of the employees is going to need bereavement this week, and I might have to cover for him. I was like, well, what's up? And he goes, well, one of his friends got shot. I guess the guy got shot by his own gun because he had somebody over, and they were doing a dry fire drill, and this guy failed to do two of the four basic firearm rules. So I'm talking to this guy, and he said, I don't own a gun. I don't know anything about guns. So I'm trying to explain all this stuff to him, and I decided I'll just tell him the 4 rules. And he goes, well, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm thinking, how many people out there who don't care, it's just not on their radar, don't even know that there are basic safety rules that you can follow, and it's just, I don't know. The politicians are no different. They just start coming up with this stuff. They start using these big words. I mean, I guess it's better than saying clip, right?
High magazine cartridge. She wants to ban. I don't know what a high magazine cartridge is, but
you just start using multiple syllable words that are related to firearms that you really don't know what they mean, and put them all together, and it's a thing.
Multi-burst activators.
Yes. Score. Give that man a cigar. Multi-burst activators. At least that's actually referring to something, even if it's a stupid word.
Yeah, I've never had a high multi-caliber magazine, clipazine, any of that.
These people, they don't know what they're talking about because they don't know anything, and it's never been important to them. And it probably never will be important to them. So if you say, let's take it away, it'll make everything safe. They're like, oh yeah, we all want everything to be safe. Who doesn't want the place to be safer? But since they don't know anything about them, and they just have these preconceived notions, they're going to do stuff like this.
So we'll do a really quick rules of firearm safety, since we were talking about safety real quick. If you're new to firearms, everybody here knows this, or all the gun guys, probably everybody listening knows this, but if you're new to guns, rule number 1, all guns are always loaded. Rule number 2, never be certain of your target and what's behind it. Don't point it at anything you don't want to destroy. Rule number 3, don't touch the trigger. Don't touch the motherfucking trigger.
Oh, you forgot 3.5, which is always by edge lunge when you're around him.
Well, that'll make you safer. Because the Edge is angry when he's hungry.
I'm a diva.
And for revolvers, I'm gonna just add there's keep your fingers behind the damn cylinder gap. In case you don't know what a cylinder gap is, here's the barrel right here. Here's the cylinders, all empty as you can see, and the gap between the cylinder and the chambers are empty. Sorry, chambers. Did I mess up? Right. This is the cylinder. These empty things are chambers, and there's a gap between the barrel, and that's called the cylinder gap. And gases, when you fire a round, besides propelling the bullet forward, they come out at an extremely high velocity, and you can get your finger blown off if you don't keep your hand behind the cylinder gap. So that's about, if you follow those rules, nothing bad will ever happen with a gun.
Firing cone.
What's that?
Firing cone.
Firing cone?
Yeah, that's actually that part that blasts all the powder back that doesn't get absorbed in the round. And that's what cuts off your thumb if you have it on the side of the cylinder.
Firing cone. Okay. Right. Well, so the point is, if you have a revolver, keep your hand behind the cylinder gap, and never touch the damn trigger until you're ready to shoot. When you pick up, if you go to a gun shop, never pick a gun up and put your finger on the trigger as you're picking it up, which a lot of people do. But
never pistol whip somebody with the revolver with the round chamber.
I've never done that.
It's experience.
But I've seen people. I've seen it in movies. So I really like my GP100. I'll say that. But really, it's just they're so stupid. When Squid was saying like they want people who don't know, it's okay not to know about guns, but it's not okay to tell everybody in America what they can and can't have if you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean the nomenclature alone sounds confusing, but I mean, like for instance, assault rifles. An AR-15 is not an assault rifle; it's an intermediate rifle. It's not an assault rifle by classification in the military.
Right, and assault weapon is a political word, and apparently,
these normies, somebody said, I saw an article that said Gabby Giffords, she's earned her seat at the table because she's been shot in the head. It's like you don't need to be shot in the head to have an informed opinion about what's going on with shit.
Yeah, first you have to know what you're talking about.
On top of that, you can't go at her and correct her, because then you're seeing it as being rude, because now she has a handicap, and if you say anything to correct her, obviously you're being insensitive to her issues. You just can't touch her. I mean, you can't correct her because you're just an asshole.
Well, I mean, you got police chiefs saying the same thing, because and everybody goes, "Oh, these guys."
I'm going to tell you a story about an unnamed police person. I mean, police are not gun experts. Okay, they just aren't. I'm going to tell you a story.
True. I'm
not going to say who it is. So somebody's coming home from their military base, and they have they're carrying their sidearm home from work. And I'm not going to even say what state it is. And so the police pull this person over for like a taillight is out or something. So the officer sees the gun and says, "I have to disarm you, sir. I'm pulling over for a broken taillight, but I'm going to disarm you." He says, "Oh, okay. The gun is here. Take it." She takes it out, and the police officer has a Glock, and the gun she removes from the military guy is a 1911. And she doesn't know the manual of arms of a 1911. She's just not very familiar with it. So she pulls out the magazine, got that part done, and she tries to get the round out of the chamber, and she doesn't.
Put the safeties on.
So she gives it. So she tries to give it back to him, but she's pointing the gun at his head. A round is in the chamber, and her finger is inside the trigger guard. So he pulls the gun out of her hand, gets outside the car, takes away her Glock, and says, "Okay, you need to call your watch commander and my base commander to have them talk this thing out, because you obviously don't know anything about firearm safety." And she just gets in the car and drives away, leaves them with both guns. As far as I know, that's a true story. And so I'm just telling you that because somebody's wearing a badge and carries a gun, that doesn't make them an expert or even competent with firearms.
I got a better story for you. I just heard happened this weekend here. My buddy was campaigning in public, and there was like a public thing going on. So they asked if anybody had campaign posters. They did it this way. So they start walking in there, and a city councilman walks up to them and says, "No, you can't do it that way. You need to do it this way." "Okay, all right, we'll adjust fire." They start, just talking to people and handing out a couple flyers. And some lady comes up to him and starts yelling at him, "You can't do this." So then they call the police chief, and the police chief says, "Yeah, you can't be doing this here." And they say, "Well, we're in a public place, and we're exercising our free speech." And the police chief said, "I control what gets said in these streets. This is my city." And they're like, No, you don't understand. You can't do that." And they're like, "Well, you're harming her because she doesn't agree with it." And she goes, "Yeah." This lady goes, "The First Amendment doesn't cover free speech, doesn't cover political speech." And the police chief agreed with her. So apparently some other cops had to come over and tell the police chief that he's wrong. And the police chief tried to act like he was letting him off with a warning or something.
Wait a minute. You're telling me the police chief said that the First Amendment doesn't cover political speech?
There's a lot of small towns where you see that, where he's so used to getting his way and everybody kind of kisses his ass, and it's a small community. Yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
care who it is. That dumbass needs to be fired.
Well, unfortunately, the community, supported him getting there or his promotion and whatnot. But I know he was elected, but it's not uncommon, man. There's a thing, I don't know if you check it out. It's what they call First Amendment auditors. I'm a big fan of those videos where they go out and they test those police stations and constables and sheriff stations where you go up and they're not doing anything for the most part. Some of them are kind of rude, but some aren't. Some of them would just go and like film from public space views where you're allowed to film anything you can see from public access. Sure up, all of a sudden police start coming up saying, "Hey, what are you doing here? You're filming police vehicles." We're like, well, yeah, well, no, we're filming anything we can see. We're not specifically filming, your personal vehicles, but if they're in the view, that's what it is. And what they're trying to do is test them and see how aggressive they're going to be and how they're going to violate their First Amendment rights to be able to do that, and also their Second Amendment rights when they're also carrying at the same time. And they've had a lot of people that got arrested, and these police say, no, you can't do this. State of after 9/11, 17 years later, whatever, you can't do this because you could be filming for terrorist groups. I'm like, why would I be wearing an orange protection vest and out in the public when I'm recording you? Obviously, not to get your attention, but to do it, and back and forth. And then some of them, they educate them for the most part, and then they look it up and they find out that, they can do that within their First Amendment rights and their Second Amendment rights of carrying as well. And other times they're just ignorant. I don't care what you say, boy, you ain't going to do this in my town, you hear? And then they lock them up and they get out and they get sued. And sometimes they've
Sheriff Buford T. Justice, was that an imitation there?
Right here, boy. Let me talk to your sheriff. I am the sheriff. but nevertheless, it happens, and I'm a big fan. If you haven't seen those videos, some people disagree with them. I think some of those people are obnoxious, but some of them, for the most part, are pretty cool, man. That they're going out there and just and they're going to all the municipalities and police departments and energy departments like Valero. And again, they're not trying to storm the gate. They're just out there on the side of the road filming, and all of a sudden they get responses, and they try to and they judge them on it. Like, okay, well, you replied, you're cordial, you were nice to me, we discussed. And the other one's going out there, you drop that camera right now and give me your ID, and blah 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 and so on. It's pretty
These
cool.
guys were just. This guy's running for my state auditor, and he's running as a libertarian.
What state you live in?
Massachusetts.
Oh shit.
Yeah, well, we got Senator Mazie Hirono, who basically told, I don't know if you guys saw her on TV, but her statement was she wants all the men of United States of America to just shut up.
Tell her to go shut up. I want her to shut up. I'll take away women's suffrage. How about that?
I just wish you would take our senator and keep her, is what I want.
I'll tell you what. I will vote to take away my wife's right to sit there and do anything. She's a slave to me. How about that? How about we just go back to that time? That was the 1920s. So you want to take it away? Fine. But you want me to tell me to shut up? I'll take away your right to vote. I mean.
Well, I mean,
that and hearing that a chief of police. I mean, and Edge, I agree with you. And I hear what you're saying, man. But that is totally uncalled for. For somebody to say you can't speak against the government or anything like that. I'm sorry, but that is a First Amendment right, whether I agree with it or disagree with it.
He wasn't even speaking against anybody. All he was doing
I
was
know.
pamphlets. He's running for
and
public
legal.
office.
And that's perfectly fine. Whether I disagree with his
it's well within the police chief was like, it's well within my rights to
what
you can and can't do in my streets.
Well, check this out.
Not that. No, sorry. If he's running for office, especially in that town or that city, he cannot.
Well,
I don't care who the hell he is, and I'll take his ass to court.
They're They're not elected. They're usually appointed in a city PD environment. Well, we have one called Leon Valley. It's a little fucking turd of a town in San Antonio here. It's in a good part of the middle of San Antonio, on the northwest side, and they hired a police officer and made him chief from SAPD. They made him the chief of police for Leon Valley. He was fired once for supposedly being caught cheating on his captain's exam, but then they had the union reinstated him or got him reinstated. Blah blah blah. So he's their chief of police now. When all these First Amendment auditors are going over there, and again, one of them did kind of cross a boundary, but he wasn't told it was illegal by their staff, and that started a big freaking rush of auditors going in there. So the chief of police has conducts a public forum, whatever. It says, "Hey, I'm gonna get you guys come all together. I'm gonna talk to all you guys." And what he does is, okay, blah blah blah. Here's a problem. There's people on that are talking, that are the people that communicate on YouTube in the chat environment, that leave comments. They're posting my personal address to my house. So therefore, all of you are responsible for that, which is some kind of terroristic threat. So I'm confiscating all your cameras, all you people that are at this meeting, whatever you want to call it. He confiscated all of their cameras as evidence. And I mean, dude, fucking iPhone's $1,000.
That's a UK move. That literally happened in the UK. Something similar. Continue. Sorry.
And he confiscated all their phones for everything. You're not going to get them back, and we can sort everything out. And because somebody posted my address, which is public knowledge, if you own a home in the United States, for the most part, and somebody knows your full name, they can pretty much find out where you live, because it's a matter of public record because of all that shit of owning a home. And somebody did, and they posted it. And he was citing them that now you're inciting all the people to make all these threats against me, which I find or unfound. So therefore, you're responsible for all the comments that are on your feed.
That happened to a UK English shooting channel. He had like 15,000 subscribers, and I know he's not in the US, but
apparently
somebody said he made a terroristic threat or something, and they checked out his channel, and he didn't make a threat. But they found out that commenters on his channel were making threats, or so
that's his fault. Somebody left a comment.
Confiscated his license. Yeah, they took his guns away.
Well, that's what they're trying to articulate. That we can't control the feed. You, if anything, you control it by your reaction, and start, instead of starting to instigate, these people.
Yeah, short of just disabling comments, I don't see how you're supposed to do that. But in the UK now, by the way, they've banned guns, they've banned knives. And they want to ban cars, but apparently all the parents, they don't want to send their kids to school anymore unless they're what's the hot new item is stab-proof vests. So they don't want to send their kids to school without a stab-proof vest for them to wear. Is that dangerous?
Does that bring us full circle? We're back to armor again.
Yeah, they should be experts in that, aren't they? Because they had chainmail forever. I mean, I thought those were stab proof.
It's that old cliche, man, where there's a will, there's a way. Because unfortunately, in the UK and many Europe, EA countries, people are finding a way. I mean, fuck it, I'll just go rent this freaking moving van and just maul people down, but it doesn't. And get all those people who are trying to save other people in the way too, like they did on that freaking. In France on Bastille Day, was it Bastille Day or whatever it is, and he fucking killed like 80 people. He killed like 80 people with that fucking van.
The thing about Solon, the from ancient Greece, that's interesting is when he passed. One of the reasons he passed that armor law is because he knew there was going to be civil unrest, because he basically told all his friends that he was going to declare a debt jubilee. So all of his friends ran up gigantic debts, borrowed all kinds of money because they knew he was going to declare a debt jubilee and all the debts would be canceled. And then that's when he left Athens. And there was. So just looking at the modern banking system in Europe, it hasn't gotten that much better. I saw something on one of the business channels, I think over the weekend, that said that Italy, the government and the banks, Italy is too big to fail and it's too big to save. So anyway, I'll try not to maneuver this into Bitcoin, but or silver or gold, but you can't go wrong buying guns because they're always gonna be good and be worth something. And while I still have light in this room, what do you guys think of shotguns for a shit hit the fan weapon?
Fabulous.
Yeah, when we saw that, hey Squibble, when we saw that scenario on Hurricane 360 where the guy was taking a ice chest cooler with ice and some drinks out to his minivan before Hurricane Katrina, and he was confronted by 5 bad guys who demanded that he turn over his car keys so they could steal it, and he has an AK slung. I mean, would they have run? You think they would have run if he had a shotgun instead? I mean, personally,
I think he might have had to actually use it. I'm not saying a shotgun is something to laugh at. Any gun is nothing to laugh at. It's just that fear factor that AK has, right? So
you think a shotgun doesn't have the fear factor too?
The whole, I've heard the whole, if you rack an empty one, it'll scare them away and blah, blah, blah. And I think maybe there might be some truth to that. But
bad guys run.
Yeah, in the dark, they hear that and they run away. There might be some, but there's other people go, that ain't gonna work. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I think as soon as they saw that AK, that was it. I don't know. Have you heard of a YouTuber called Argo J?
No.
Okay, so Argo J made one of the best arguments I've heard for owning an AR-15. There were, I think, 4 or 5 guys that came to his house. They went to the wrong house. They're looking for somebody. That person don't live at his house. He don't know the guy, whatever it is. They're actually walking around the outside of his house, looking in the windows, beating on the door, beating on the windows, going, is so-and-so here, so-and-so here. And he's like, so-and-so don't live here, and they wouldn't leave. And he came out on the front porch with his AR-15 slung over his back. And one of the guys noticed, and he said, dude's got a tech. I guess that's ghetto for AR-15. And they all ran away.
That's a Tech 9. He's talking about a Tech 9.
Yeah, but
no, he said tech. He said tech. So he said, dude's got a tech. And they all ran away.
I thought that's shorthand for a Tech 9, but... Okay.
In Somalia, we called any vehicle with a machine gun mounted on the back a technical. So I don't know. But the whole point is, he never even had to raise it. He didn't have to yell. He didn't make any threats. He had it slung over his back, for Pete's sakes. But it was enough that one of them saw it, and one of them said something, and they all ran away. So there is a certain fear factor to these evil guns, right? I'm not saying a shotgun wouldn't have scared, but he might have had to rack the shotgun. He might have had to go Joe Biden and fire, a couple shots in the air, or he might have actually had to kill one of them first to get the rest of them to run away. Because I just don't know if the shotgun is going to have that fear factor.
Let me interject here. I think you got it all wrong. You got to have some serious shit talking skills. You got to walk out to his, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum.
All right. I know that movie.
All out of bubblegum.
All out of bubblegum. Roddy Piper, they live.
Yeah. Shit talking, it'll go. As long as you got the backup, you got the iron.
It's like a 1982 movie, I think.
It's like 86.
Yeah,
86. Okay, that quote has been used so many times, but I don't know. It just seems to me like looking at this barrel, it should scare the shit out of anybody.
I wouldn't want to get hit with that.
Me neither.
Well, I mean, they've always said, people say in all kinds of videos, well, I want to get hit with the 9mm. I don't want to get, and people said, I don't want to get hit with the fucking 22. They rattle around, dude. Every round hurts, man, and can do this. You can do a bunch of damage. But a shotgun, they call them scatter guns because they make a mess of you.
Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. The nasty looking scattergun HVS has there.
This is a little more than a scatter gun, but it's got extended mag. It's a Benelli Supernova. The Marines using it. What's that?
Nice.
The worst case scenario, like if you survive a shotgun blast, you're gonna have a mark for the rest of your life and a limp.
It's gonna be painful. It's gonna hurt bad because it's like getting hit with 8 bullets at once. I mean, if you get hit with the good thing about shotguns is it has so many different rounds you could fire out of it. If you're an older person and you need to practice with it still, so just get used to it. you can use low recoil rounds. So you don't if you have sciatica or arthritis, it won't. Or if you're going into a combat situation, you can go loaded for bear with a 3.5 Magnum rounds, and that'll last. Have a significant amount of recoil.
High brass shot will fuck you up.
Yeah, bird shot will mess you up. Buckshot will mess you up.
High brass, that'll fuck you up. I mean, I have that. I have a
rifled slugs.
I have a Mossberg 500 Persuader, has a 20-inch barrel on it. That's under my bench seat in the back seat of my truck, right on top of the subwoofer, and that bad boy's in there with a bunch of rounds in the main console, and it's there for a reason. Now I'm eventually gonna upgrade to one of them little deals, the smaller ones they got now that they make for Mossberg or Remington. What do they call them? The ones with a little pistol grip on them. Not pistol grip, but they got that butt grip on them.
Oh, the Remington TAC 14 or the Mossberg TAC 14 or
whatever.
Shot ones, 6 or 5 shot ones.
Yeah, I want to get one of those for sure because I can shoot from the hip pretty good.
What I was wondering was how on like the movies, the Mad Max movies, do they get the shotgun shells to just like fizzle? It's like they must mix something in with some black powder or some dirt or something to get it to fizzle like that, and like it just goes, and there's a little red light, but it doesn't,
little flame, but no boom.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, expand. The round doesn't go off. It just there's a little fizzle.
Well, if you get a Savage kid that throw a boomerang and kill people. I think you got it going on.
It makes just the right amount of water with the powder. And it just causes the powder to just go.
That's what they do. Mix water with it? Okay, so wet powder.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but they do that in like every Mad Max movie. They have a round that just goes.
Oh yeah, they did. Road Warrior was on last night.
Yeah, they had I think American Movie. No, it was an American Movie Channel that had like Mad Max Marathon. They kept playing. They did the original Mad Max and Road Warrior, then Beyond Thunderdome, and then they showed Wyatt Earp, and then they just looped the whole thing again.
I love Mumble. I like Beyond Thunderdome. People say that one sucked, but I like it.
Oh no, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I think I have a sound effect for that one.
Soundtrack's awesome. The best soundtrack of all the Mad Max movies.
Raggedy Man.
Yeah, Raggedy Man. You're just a Raggedy Man.
Who owned Border Town?
Now here it is.
Two man enter, one man leave. Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Diet time is here.
Oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying time here. Love that.
Yeah, it's the post-apocalyptic
dystopian
future.
You disarm.
Disarm now.
All right.
So
I like guns.
Okay, wheel guns. What's your favorite wheel gun and why?
Colt Python. Why? Because I don't own one, and that's the one gun that if I ever get, I'm just gonna sit there with the little
look at it,
microfiber cloth, and just baby it and talk to it. Like, oh, baby, we made it. I didn't get the Rolex, but I got you.
Are you gonna give it a name?
Maylene.
Maylee?
Maylene.
Oh, Maylene. Okay.
I ain't married to no Hawaiian chick. Maylene.
I haven't given my revolver a name. It's just my GP 100. But I like it.
Well, they're solid, man. They're fucking solid pieces of investment cast medal.
Yeah, I think just last week, Ruger's the CEO, the son of the original Ruger, passed away. I know some people have Second Amendment gripes with Ruger, stuff they've done in the past, but
They made that match grade revolver one about 2 years ago.
yeah, their revolvers are pretty slick. I like them. I like this one. This is the Wiley Clap edition, and it just kicks ass.
The only complaint I've heard about traditionalists say is they don't like that it's not a full tang because they have a small tang in the grip.
You don't like the grip?
No. I've heard people say in their reviews of it saying that they have a small tang. It's like about half the size of a full, like Smith & Wesson does a full tang on the grip.
Mm-hmm.
They do like a half tang, quarter tang, something like that. And the grips.
So if you're gonna pistol whip somebody, you got to swing it just a little bit harder. I mean,
yeah,
whatever.
You want to crack your grips.
All right. Anybody else got a favorite revolver?
The Medusa.
The Medusa, which I never even heard of that one.
It's by Bell. It was a revolver that could shoot. It had this little on the back of the cylinder. It had these adjustments. They could shoot 9mm, 357, and 38, all without having to put a moon clip on it. Very expensive, very hard to find. They only made X amount of them. I think it's by Bell.
What year were they made?
I think the mid 80s.
Mid 80s. Medusa. Okay.
G-Whips has a video on it.
He does? He has so many videos. That doesn't help much. He has a million videos. Go find it.
Just do a search on Medusa, like on the search option.
Okay, I will. I'm always interested in cool revolvers.
I mean, they got those Korth. Those revolvers are also that are like $5 or $6 grand. Korth revolvers that are
a
like
lot of money.
they're like the equivalent of if you were to build a Colt Python today with more detail and precision.
You know, it's funny. Why? It's like some people think that somehow a revolver isn't as good as like a striker fired pistol. I'm like, really? What the hell is wrong with you? I mean,
No, the only reason that people went, because you remember even the old movies, or you remember as a kid growing up. You're a little bit older than me, but growing up, I mean, every police officer had a revolver. What happened was in the late mid '80s, when the military went to the Beretta, a lot of the PDs went to, and law enforcement Leos went to automatics as well, semi-automatics. They're skeptical about them, and then Smith & Wesson took a big hit because of it, because they had the glory years, man, of all the revolvers they're making, all those departments that were buying them because they were so reliable and accurate. But then they went to semi-autos because they wanted a gun to have more rounds. And between Beretta, kicking in, and then Glock taking over in the late '80s,
yeah, the Glock had the advantage of having a business plan that made sense and worked, and they undercut everybody else on the price. So.
Well, I mean, don't forget you also have the the 1980s movies that had cops being worried. I mean, aside from the Miami-Dade shooting, you have all these 1980s movies that have cops worried about black kids with Tech Nines or whatever you want to say, and that ended up leading to the '94 crime bill. It wasn't just about the assault weapons; it was also about super offenders or whatever.
What's a super offender?
What did Hillary Clinton call gang members that are black? Call them super offenders.
Her base. Her base.
No, what I'm just getting at is these. A lot of people get all of their information from movies. How did the Tech 9 end up on the assault weapons ban? take a guess.
Right. It's just like what they use in colors, Mac 10, right? And that was, they were outgunning the cops, and they even made a point of it in the middle of the movie. So yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, in some areas, maybe like Miami-Dade or other areas where they had HVS. You're from that area.
L.A.
Well, I mean, you've lived in Miami, but
No, I
I
haven't.
was just, I thought
I've
you
never
lived in
been to
for a
Miami.
while.
No.
No, my bad. Must be thinking of somebody else then. But either way, you may have areas where a lot of gang members have fully automatic weapons and ultra high capacity magazines or whatever. But you can see a shift where the whole country like moves over to they
High
move over to
magazine
autos.
cartridges. High magazine
Yeah,
cartridges.
they move over to autos, and then on top of that, the FBI is like, "Oh shit, we're outgunned. We can't be using 9 millimeter. We got to use 40." And then everybody
Well,
switches over to it.
they tried 10 millimeter, and then like, my hand hurts, and then they went to 40. So
Now they went to mil, but the thing is, they couldn't get the female agents to shoot the 10 mil accurately or whatnot. And I heard in their hands, and that's where the 40 will evolve from. But
Now, I mean, I'm not saying
And then
that's
they
all
went
of
back
it.
to 9, though, just hollow points is all, right?
Oh, nice, Patrick.
Oh yeah,
What's that? Oh, the GP100. Which model is that?
4.2-inch stainless combat Magnum.
Awesome.
Just what General Patton would carry if he was alive.
We need
today.
ivory grips. Ivory grips for General Patton.
Well, yeah.
Combat Magnum, I thought the Combat Magnum was designated only for Smith and Wesson for Jordan.
Well, the combat size. 4.2.
Wrong. Patton would
Two
have
inch.
an M1 Garand pistol, and he'd be carrying those.
Well, but he carried a 357 Magnum, and I forget what else.
He would have an M1 Garand.
But
Mine's a snubby. Mine's a snubby. It's short barrel.
I have a
that's okay.
Smith and Wesson model 19-3. It's a 3-inch revolver. That is actually a combat Magnum from like the early 70s, late 60s.
When you run out of
Okay.
ammo, you can use this to just club the bad guy to death.
I
Yeah,
traded
it'll
the
work.
442 for a VP9.
Yeah, that's. I think the Colt Walker was originally a horse pistol because if it didn't work right, it was heavy enough you could club the horse to death if you hit it in the head. So why it was called a horse pistol, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, just carry this on.
Nice.
Good old Glock 19. Gen
careful,
3.
you might hurt yourself with that.
That's
Might hurt his hand.
that's a
Yeah,
man,
no. All the dioxins in the plastic will cause cancer over time.
that's a man's gun, so no one here. I do carry mine to 11 on weekends though.
Hey, I carry a Walther Walther PPS M2, so
Somebody done Gun Channels did a video of the new Glock 45, I think, which is a 9mm. But it's the model.
Travis P11 did a video on it, and I'm kind of disappointed because if it's a Glock 45, it should be 45 AARP.
Association for Retirement
Another
People.
reason. Yeah, it's just another reason for me to not like Glock.
And it should come with Velcro shoes.
Well, so how was shooting your black powder pistol the other day, Squib?
Well, I mean, with the exception of the fireball that came out of it, it was just fine.
What's wrong with the fireball coming out of it? That sounds like fun.
When you hand somebody who's never shot a black powder revolver before a black powder revolver, don't hand it to them with too much residue and too much bore butter on the outside because
Now, when you hand me one, I want there to be a fireball. Okay, if I ever am in Michigan and I want there to be a big fireball, and I want to scare insects.
After 2 cylinders, they start to, you can feel like them gritting up, and then you have to clean them or do a little.
Well, I thought I would put some bore butter in there, even though it didn't really need it, and this stuff just come out like liquid. This
Oh my god.
Did we lose him? Okay.
Whoops, what
yeah.
happened to Patrick and Squib? And why didn't I get kicked out of the call?
I don't know. I didn't push any buttons, so just shit happens.
I will tell you, I'm glad I clicked on your picture though, Mr. Rupan.
What the hell was that? Did I just get popped?
Yeah, I got popped too.
Well,
Well,
Ed,
nobody did anything. It's just shit happens.
Special.
The
Do you know
NSA.
who I'm cosplaying as, Edge?
Hmm?
Do you know who I'm cosplaying as?
I've heard of it. It's not my thing.
Paint
Naked
it in the
Snake.
dark out there.
I got Mr. T next to me. It's not the real Mr. T, but
No, what my comment was, I saw your picture of you. I go, hey, it's a pretty girl. And then I zoomed in. Just kidding.
Pretty the fool sucker. Ain't got on a plane, Hannibal.
I was supposed to be Pliskin, man.
Nate Pliskin? Are you?
No, it's a guy who jokingly looks a lot like Snake Plissken.
Who is that?
It's a character
That's
from
what
a
you're
video
supposed
game.
to be. Snake Plissken.
No, but everybody thought it was Kurt Russell. No, the character is a joke kind of on Kurt Russell, but the character is Naked Snake from Metal Gear Solid 3.
Okay.
No, I know a bunch of people are into that. I guess that's a young man's thing in there. It's cool. I'm with it, but I just can't. You know, that's not my thing. A gun shows about as eventful as I get, like getting out and shit.
I want to say another good thing about shotguns is the ammo. You can get cheap ammo for them. I mean, compared to other, at least in Hawaii where ammo is more expensive, usually the shotgun stuff is the cheapest unless it's an exotic round.
Until Hawaii, look, I've shrunken, dude. I'm a shrunken man.
What happened? You lose weight?
A little bit.
All right. Good for your heart.
I mean, I switch hands.
I'm on a margarita diet. One margarita a day.
Well, I'm
No,
trying to.
I think shotguns are cool. I have the only shotgun I have is a double barrel 10 gauge that was from the 1800s.
A 10 gauge? You have a 10 gauge?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a Damascus strap barrel. I mean, it won't fire or anything.
Oh, fuck. Then
It
I take it back.
Pull your hair back or put your shoulder back in alignment.
Well, if you fired it, it'd probably explode.
The one in the film Appaloosa that Viggo Mortensen carried was reportedly it was supposed to be an 8 gauge, but I think it was a 10 gauge that was like made to look like an 8 gauge somehow.
What I want to get one of those old Ithacas. They can slam fire. Old police Ithacas that, as long as you kept the trigger down and you rack them back, boom, 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 boom each time.
Well, is it still? I haven't been doing any gun shopping in a while. Is it still true that shotguns are relatively inexpensive as far as firearms choices go?
It depends on what shotgun you're getting. If you're getting the Maverick 88 Combat 18-inch, yeah, it's cheap.
Yeah, obviously Benelli M4 would be expensive.
That's $2,000. They make Remington makes ones very similar. I forget what it's called, a Versamax or the fuck it is, for like about $1,000. It isn't on par with a Benelli M4, but it's pretty damn good for the damn money. Because
Yeah.
here's the thing: is when you buy a shotgun, unless you're an avid hunter and you turkey shoot or whatever it is, you know, this and that. You typically only have fun with that shotgun every now and then, unless you know use home defense, and even then, you only take it out every now and then. You're not going to be out with it, and that's what people like. They want to buy like a Benelli. There's nothing wrong with it, or a badass fucking shit. What was it? Not a Beretta, fucking Beretta shotgun.
Just remember though, with a shotgun, it's probably not going to spread as much as you think it will spread. What you've seen in movies, at least.
Yeah, I'm never gonna get like a sawed off and make it like 3-inch sawed like in Mad Max. Look at 3-inch sawed off fucking barrel.
That one in what's the John Wayne movie with James Caan? Rio something.
Rio Bravo.
No, that was Dean Martin. The one with James Caan.
I can find them.
The one with James Caan and
That's a good old boy.
I'm gonna have to go look at my John Wayne movie collection again to get all the names straight, because so many of them are named Rio something or other.
Nice, Patrick. I got a Model 12 from 1914, the commercial model.
This was my grandfather's father's shotgun.
Yeah, mine was my great grandfather's shotgun or great grandfather's.
What is it?
Grandpappy's.
It is a. I don't know if you can see it here. Well, it says W.M. Moore and Company, London Fine Twist. That's the only inscription on the entire gun. But it is a double barrel, hammer fired, dual trigger, 10 gauge.
So you fire 2 shots and then drop it and start in with your pistol, basically.
No, dude, this is a spear, dude. You just take this sucker and just bop somebody on the freaking head.
That stock looks like it's about to crack.
Yeah, it's got damage. I mean,
Well, if it's a couple hundred years old, I mean, I'm not surprised. It's wood. It's wood.
yeah, it's damaged. This is not a gun that I'm gonna ever fire. I'm gonna mount it to the wall, and pass it down to my son.
Yeah, it's an heirloom.
Oh
Yeah, it's just a family heirloom. So
The only thing I got like that, it's not similar, but the criteria is 1920 Luger, dirty Luger.
I tell you, for some reason, I really want an old broom handle Mauser or one of those old Astra copies. I don't really know why.
Well, I've seen the. You can get the BB gun version of those for cheap.
Yeah, what sucks is I can't, if it's not on my pistol roster, I can't buy it. So, and that's from like 1998 and on, so that sucks. But I seen that MP40 pistol that came out in 9mm. Seen some pretty good looking pistols recently.
Well, I'd be looking back forward to visiting my father in California, because they got a nice shooting range out there, and he's got a ton of pistols I can go shooting at the range with. Can't carry them around. It's California, but when I think I did that video Shooter's Paradise with him on my channel, you could see he's a good shot and we have fun. And I don't know, going to the range with my father is just a fun thing to do. So it's one of the things we both like doing, and we're both good at. So
I try to tell people, because I go to college at Northeastern University, so there's a lot of people who are not from here, and I try to invite people to the range. And it's like, there's not a lot of countries where you can go to the range and fire off some rounds.
yeah, it's getting harder to do that, especially around here.
I haven't been in a while myself, and I'll get synced back in and take a carry pistol, my 1911, my ARs. Some fun with that.
Yeah, I was joking around with a buddy, and he was like, "Oh man, there's a range right down the street from me. It's $10 a year. I get the student discount." And I was like, "Dude, I pay $275 a year to pretty much use an indoor range that sucks and use a zero range where we're only allowed 1 bullet per mag."
Yeah, Shooter's Paradise in Thousand Oaks is pretty nice. They got it's air conditioned. It just kept maintained very well. They got a full gun shop there. I mean, they've got a gunsmith or a couple gunsmiths on premises. It's just really nice. Especially, it's amazing that a place like that is even in California. But I guess there's just enough rich people around there to make it work. you have to be rich to afford to live there, plus pay the taxes in California. But anyway. All right. Any other Second Amendment or gun stuff we need to talk about? I did want to ask Squib if he got the chronometer readings from the black powder yet, or does you have to look at the video?
Yeah, to get the actual numbers, I got a few inconsistent reads with the black powder, but I fired off one with the Pyrodex, and it was significantly higher.
Right.
It was about 1,100 feet per second with the Walker with 60 grains of Pyrodex, and it was a lot less with the black powder, but I don't remember the exact numbers.
Pyrodex, that's smokeless?
No, it's like a synthetic black powder, but it fouls it up a lot dirtier. The thing is, even though it tends to foul it up and it starts to make the cylinder jam as you rotate it, the Walker seems to like the Pyrodex more. Now my LeMat does not like Pyrodex, so I don't know, something different about the guns. But I've been told by a lot of
The
people
metallurgy?
use Pyrodex.
Metallurgy.
I don't know. It just. I'm not saying it eats it up, nothing like that. It just seems to function better with the Pyrodex. Seems to load better. It seems I can pack it in better. I don't know what it is, but I've been told, don't use it. But I've got it, and I just have to do extra cleaning.
Yeah, with black powder. Well, I'll be interested in hearing the numbers when you get them off your video. Anyway, all right. Let's see. Not too much else been going on around here.
If you want scientific numbers off of Colt Walker reproduction, go to YouTuber Dustin Weinegar, Winegar. He does a lot of testing of black powder revolvers. He's got a chronograph, and he does all kinds of different things, like use different powders, or he goes over a lot of stuff. So if you want somebody who does it a little bit more professionally than Dustin, Dustin, last name Weinegar, Winegar. His tests will be a little bit more authentic, scientific than mine.
All right, well,
kind of redneck.
It's okay. I'm interested in your redneck numbers. What you use the GoX FFF, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Well, I'll be interested in hearing your numbers, and I'll definitely try and look him up. Add it to my list of gun stuff to do. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm not sure if we have any more gun business to do. Thanks for watching Lock and Load Show on Gun Channels, and we'll be back next week with another cool topic. And I have no idea what it will be, but I'm sure even if we don't have a topic, it will be cool. So we'll see y'all next week. Y'all be cool, be safe. And watch out for those high, what the hell did you call them? I don't know.
Scary
High
things
cartridge